notification.
Yeah.
All right, dope. So who do we have here today? We have my man Mathew Paraday from Paraday. No, it's Paraday, right? Paraday photo. So I'm typing your name in the email when I'm sending it to you, and I'm like, this dude's name is Paraday. I've been calling him something completely different. It clearly says it right there. But so Mathew Paraday photo. So welcome to the platform, brother. Thank you for jumping on.
Yeah, thank you, man. Always, down to talk and bullshit.
Dope, man. So you are my photography fraternity brother, Sealy Photo. And so that's how we met. We met down where we met in San Diego. Met in San Diego. And ever since then you've been talking.
Well, I mean, technically I'm always talking. So
that's what I mean. Ever since then, you just been going. But nah, that's all in love and greatness, man. That's one of the great things about you that I like about you, man. You're very outgoing, very outspoken. And I think, we all like immediately we just hit it off on the trip. And it was pretty cool.
In all honesty, I think everybody in the group is somebody, you can hang out with. It's, there's a lot of personalities and everybody has their own different, they have their different styles and different things like that. But overall, it's just everybody gets along. Like it's a good of different styles. So you're not dealing with, it's not like we're all the same kind of, we all act the same or have the same sense of humor, but it somehow all meshes together well.
It blends, it all works. Yeah. It all works out. Definitely. I agree, man. So next week, Olympia. This is a big thing for you. So pretty much. So you're telling me that when you and I met, that was your first time really getting involved in fitness photography, right?
Yeah. So that was the actual first thing I've actually did that was like considered fitness.
Okay.
Originally, I was shooting fitness for a fitness apparel brand, kind of like we were just talking before. So I used to own a cheerleading gym for 15 years. So I was a cheerleading coach. So I had an all-star gym. Things were going good. And as a business owner, one of my biggest things was how do I make more money without draining my current customers? You can't get water out of a rock. So the other side of it is, well, how do I make more money on the products I sell and get them for cheaper? So I started going through what are my main costs, and uniforms and apparel were one of my highest costs. So if you don't, I'm sure a lot of people don't know, but cheerleading uniform, custom wise, they do all the rhinestones and all that stuff. And those things go for $350 to $450 at each. So I went directly overseas and worked with a couple of different companies till I found a good factory that does them. And I started buying my uniforms directly. So cut out the middleman, saved a ton of money. I was able to sell for less to my parents. And so I was saving them money. But because I cut off the middleman, I was making a way bigger profit.
Yeah.
It was a win-win across the board. I started doing a little bit other things overseas, but it kind of expanded into doing, I had other gym owners and we're like, oh, you know what? Like, can you save us some money? And I'm like, yeah, I can order you some uniforms. No big deal. Like, I'll even sell you even less. And then they were able to do the same thing, which was they were able to charge their parents the same or less, but their profit side was dramatically bigger. So they're making, $3-4 grand now on their uniform sales, where before they were making zero. Mm-hmm. And with small business, a $4 grand influx is a good day. So I started doing that, expanding to like football uniforms, baseball uniforms, things like that. Then COVID.
You're supplying whole teams, right? Whole teams.
Yes, entire teams. So like rec leagues, high schools, things like that. But then COVID hit, and what happened to team uniforms? Like down to zero. Like I had a football team uniform order for a varsity football team, all lined up, ready to go. And then they're like, oh, by the way, we're not going to have a season, so we don't need them.
Yeah.
That was a huge hit. So I was like, hey, you know what? I need to find something that's a little bit more COVID proof. So I was like, well, women's fitness line. So, because they can buy it at home, they're still going to work out at home, even though COVID, they might got to go to the gym, but they still want to be comfortable at home. I already had the factories, I already had the contacts. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to switch it up to women's fitness. So then I was like, okay, well, now for women's fitness, I got to be advertising this stuff. I got to be, on Instagram. I got to be doing ads. I got to make a website. So it's like, well, I kind of did photography in college. I'm like, I can figure this out. So grabbed a camera, started shooting. But a lot of my old cheerleading girls, were like, oh yeah, well, we'll model for you and things like that. So,
Yeah.
I've been coaching for so long. Some of my original girls, they're 25 to 28. So, I had some girls that were, still into fitness, and they still, they did the CrossFit thing and all that kind of stuff. So I started shooting there. So that's how I started with the fitness photography. And then, a little ways in, I was like, man, I really enjoy doing this. Like, I really want to do the photography side. So started, investing in better equipment, started looking on YouTube, doing YouTube channels, things like that, learn the basics. And that's how I came across Brett's stuff. I found him on YouTube and I was like, oh, this guy's awesome, and then he's like, oh, and we do a mentorship stuff. And I was like, well, guess I should do the mentorship stuff. So started, reaching out to him, emailing back and forth, and then finally pulled the trigger on joining. And he's like, hey, we got this, thing in San Diego next, in like 2 weeks, if you want to go to that. And then I did that. And I met you and Russ and Calvin and everybody. And
yeah. Been down ever since. Dope. Yeah, man. So crazy. So what's your background in photography? You say you did a little bit in high school and college.
So yeah, so I was an art major. I do drawing, painting, and photography. So creativeness, 0 when it comes to drawing and painting. Like, if you show me a picture of it, I can draw it. So like, you give me a picture of a person, I can redraw it, no big deal. You say draw a horse, I can draw a horse. Show me a horse, I can draw a horse. So it's one of those things where.
What about if you get a picture in your mind, or you just don't hold images in your head like that? All right, yeah. Everybody's different.
But that's the thing about photography, is that in photography, I'm seeing it firsthand. And then I'm like, no, I like that, but I would like it more if I did this. And I can make the little adjustments. And so I can say, okay, move your shoulder down, move that. So when it comes to posing, to me, my mind gets that. But if you told me to just show me a really good pose, it would take me a couple seconds. I can't visualize that. I have to be able to see it, and then I can mold it into what I want.
Okay.
I can't vision it in my head without it.
Yeah, everybody's different. I'm the same way. I got to build it now. After a while, it's like, all right, get the shot. I spend most of my time on lighting in my mind, and it's always good. It's always good. Like, I'll look back at my photos and I'll be like, man, I got the shot earlier. But then I just keep trying to build on it and build, and I want to make it bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it's like,
I overshoot all the time, man. Like, I'm so bad. Like, I don't think I've ever done an actual shoot, an hour shoot in the hour allotted. Now, you said I was probably done the first 15, 20 minutes. I had what I needed.
Yeah.
I just keep going. I'm like, oh, let's try this. And
you're enjoying yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, but like you said, lighting is just random. Like, I always do like this kind of like, I have this like in my head, like this, simple go-to lighting setup that I always start with. And I was at a gym the other day shooting, and I was like, and she was standing there, and I'm looking through the camera. I'm like, all right, cool. The shadows on her arm is really cool. And then I hit click, and the lights go off, and all of a sudden I'm like, and I'm looking at the picture. I'm like, those shadows aren't there. I'm like, what is the lighting in the room doing differently than the lighting that I've put on? So I was like, okay, let's stop and think about this. Where is the light coming from? Well, there's windows coming from 2 sides, and obviously you have your overheads. So I'm like, okay, what's causing those? What's causing what shadows? And then I used that to reposition my lights. They were coming from the same angles, and I got the shadows that I wanted. I was like, oh, if I come over the shoulder, I get this really, cool in the back. So then, like, my next shoot, that was the first thing I did. I went over the shoulder just to see if I could redo it again, and it worked. I was like, okay, so here
you go. You got to go to.
This is a lighting setup too, over the shoulder with the rim here, and here, and things like that.
Yeah, you get those after a while. It's like when you get in the gym, it's like, you know what? I got my 2 go-tos, 3 go-tos, 3 possibles, 2 in a possible. I'll just go with those, and then I'll build from there. But one of the tricks that I learned, it was just like, it's just the building it from the one light. Start with one light and just building your shot, starting at about 1/16 of power. That's pretty much a good place to start at, and then just build your shot from there. But yeah, there'll be times I'm in there and I'm like, fuck, I like the way it looks when my eyes looking at it, or your flash may not go off, and it's like, wait a minute, only one flash went off, but I like the way that looks. It adds more, contrast to it. There's more shadows and shit like that. So then you're sitting there trying to rack your brain on how you can get that within the next couple of shots without letting the model know that you're a little off your game for a second. That's like the
you're not supposed to admit that. You just got to be like, oh no, hold on. I'm like,
okay, you can't let it know. You gotta let it know.
Let's go with it. Yeah,
because
I totally meant to do this. It's,
So have you ever been in a situation as a photographer where it's like you get a model set up for like you set up a whole scene, and then you shoot a couple of shots and you're like, shit, I don't want to shoot this scene. I don't even like this shit anymore. It's nothing like I saw it in my head. I want to break this whole thing down and do something else, but I just had her do all of this shit to get over here.
So what I do with that is I'll take like after like the first shot when you don't like it.
Yeah.
Like 5 more and like pose a little bit, but like, all right, next one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not gonna say it, but like, no, this sucks. And the thing about it is, normally when I do that, I don't show the picture to her, because what happens is that when we get the next shot and I know I get it into a spot that I love, I'm like, yeah, look at this picture.
Yeah, stop showing it to him. Yep.
Yeah, I'm like, now here's the other one. Like, I like these ones way better, don't you? Oh yeah. So like, they're like, yeah, those are okay, but I do like the new ones better. And then they focus on the new ones.
Yeah.
We can all just forget about
it never happened. Yep. It's like it never happened. Yep. I do the same thing. You shoot like 4 or 5. You're like, all right, let's go. Let's do something else.
Yeah, next one. It's like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna even try to repose you in this one because I just don't like the setup.
Yeah, you just don't want to go through it anymore. Or you just see something better.
Like I wanted to.
You see something better out of the corner of your eye. You're like, I want to move over here. So what's up with next week, my man? How's you looking forward? Now, is this your first time going?
Yeah, it's my first Olympia. Like I said, I only started in San Diego, so that was April.
Okay.
But no, I'm super excited. I'm sharing a house with American Ty. Obviously, awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, those are two dope dudes to be around. Actually,
and that's the thing. Merrick has my smart ass personality, so I like that. Ty's funny. So I'm sure we'll have a good time there. Lineup wise, shockingly enough, I really didn't think I was gonna get the lineup that I have right now. Like I have 8 Olympians.
Oh shit.
And then just some pros that are gonna be down there watching.
Yeah.
Locals that are just gonna be driving in, and then now 2 people that are actually, I didn't know there was an amateur O. So there's an amateur O.
That's earlier in the week, right? Is it earlier in the week?
There's an amateur O on the 5th, and they booked. I had book on the 6th, the day after their shoot, after their show. So I mean, like I said, I'm gonna be pretty stacked the whole time. Obviously, more shoots is always great for content, great for money, but to me, I take it as a huge compliment that I had so many Olympians want to be like, oh no, like I really want to shoot with you type of deal.
Yeah. And that's dope for you, not even having like a background in this field, for you to just come in and just hop on it like that. That's pretty.
I think my coaching. Well, I appreciate that. I think my coaching does help. My coaching background, just because, like I said, coaching cheerleaders all those years, dealing with women to begin with, making them feel comfortable. Especially, when I had to deal with all the way from 3-year-old, 5-year-old girls. There sometimes are a little bit uncomfortable with a male coach. So for me to learn how to be a little goofy and be able to joke with them, to be like, oh, he's just a big lug, like he's funny, and be able to read and just read people in general and know when whatever I'm doing is either working or not working. Because if it's not working, okay, you know what? That's not working for her. I need to switch it up and find something that does, so I can get her, in, because
more engaged, yeah.
Like with photography, you can see it in the pictures. If they're not comfortable and they're not into it, you're gonna see it. So I mean,
right away. See it right away. The energy, you just feel it when you're not making that connection with the talent across on the opposite end of the camera. You feel it right away, and it's awkward. And your best thing you're trying to do is just pull them back in, get them back on your side, get them comfortable, get them smiling, get them relaxed, and then you got to show them something killer to really pull them in.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, I joke around. Obviously, I'm a shit talker, so I mean that always helps. Like I said, most of the people I've worked with have been, good sense of humor, things like that. So that's always played well for me. I just think that, I like competitors because I find there's a correlation with, obviously, the higher level you go, you know, when you get to the pros and Olympians, they're hard workers. Those people did not luck into those bodies. Like they didn't magically half-ass their way to get to that level. But they're hustlers and grinders, and they respect other people that do that too. So whether, you know, yeah, you and me don't have six packs and you know, and whatever, but we work hard in our crafts. You know, we spent a lot of time doing our stuff. You know, I'm shooting, you know, 4 or 5 times a week. I'm doing, you know, I'm editing freaking 20, 30 hours a week. And, you know, I'm on Instagram, you know, making posts, doing likes, doing comments, trying to meet new people, you know, get my name out there. You know, we're working hard too. So, I mean, I feel they respect that on that, where they're like, oh yeah, like, you know, it might be in a different format, but they're putting, you know, this person is on my level with, you know, hard work. And I think that's been a big help for most people.
Dope. Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. How much time do you think you put into editing?
I've got it down pretty quickly now. I'm getting better because I have a pretty consistent workflow. Obviously some looks are easier than others to do. And, you know, most of the time, in all honesty, the only times that I have a hard time with editing is if I'm trying to get rid of something. So like there's something in the background that just is irritating me, or, you know, there was a strap on her side that, you know, made a piece of skin flap over that, you know, normally if she stood up straight, that wouldn't be there. So edit that. Those are the only times it really takes me a long time, because I want to make perfect. It's like, man, this shot is perfect except for that piece of skin. And it's not even like, it's not fat skin hanging over. It was just because of the way that outfit dug into that, you know, into that crease. It caused that problem. We're gonna get rid of that.
Yep.
So, but normally I said every week, I probably do about 20, 30 hours a week on editing.
Yeah. And now, are you doing video yet, or you still just
So I just dipped my toe into video. I've been doing a lot of reels on, you know, with my camera. What I do is I shoot it with my I've been shooting it with my R5, but then I will just drop it in my phone and splice it and do it there and make little adjustments. But I am going to upgrade my computer because I need to get I have Premiere, but it doesn't run really well on my computer.
Okay.
There's something with the graphics card that ends up timing it out and causing issues. So I just need to upgrade to a better laptop. Actually, probably not even a better laptop. I'm probably just gonna do a PC for that, because I'll never edit video on when I'm traveling anyway. So that really doesn't matter. And it's usually cheaper to get the bigger graphics card in a PC than it is
for a Mac
laptop.
Yeah, that makes sense. I
like to save money too.
You all about the dough, man. You need to do a finance class. Show people how to save money and make money by you know, going overseas for their products and shit.
Well, you know, the same concept with that though is the same thing about, like you said, just doing video is, you don't make money in any industry unless you can do everything in that industry. So when I was a cheerleading coach, getting into, you know, my biggest cost, choreography, apparel, credit card processing, those are the things that cost my business the most. And when I was able to produce those myself, guess what? I saved a ton of money. I worked with a group in Chicago. We were club promoters, and we used to do nightclubs. And one of the things was like, okay, well, yeah, we're making money promoting the club, but if we put the money down and ran the event ourselves, we made more money. And so we rented a venue. And then like, oh, but then ticket sales, you gotta sell tickets. So guess what? We made a ticket making company. And then we're like, oh, well, instead of renting the venue, we should own the venue. And then we own the venue. And like so at one point we were just these little, you know, small timers trying to run the club, where eventually at the end, you know, there's a group where we, you know, they own the club, own where the tickets come, you know, are being produced. They own the event. They own, you know, who's choosing the DJ and all that stuff, and way more money to be made. So now in photography, same concept. You know, if you're already doing photography, why can't you do the video too? You know, it's different programs, but similar sets, similar equipment. You're just building off of it. But when you can go to a customer and offer it, say, hey, you know what, you don't got to go somewhere else for video. I got you that too. You know?
Shop. Yeah, absolutely. One-stop shop. And you want to be skilled in it, have enough knowledge to actually know what you're talking about, know what you're doing. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's dope. So you do, all right. So you're doing the photos. You don't do the cheerleading company anymore, right? You
No,
said,
I actually sold that right before COVID. So I dodged that bullet.
okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, you did luck out, but you were still doing the apparel. But you were still
Yeah,
doing
the
the apparel
apparel
for
was
teams and stuff like
I
that.
still do cheerleading, a lot of cheerleading uniforms, then like high school uniforms, a lot of t-shirts, like team t-shirts, things like that. And then my women fitness line. So my cheerleading uniforms is all made from a company called Cheer Network,
Mm-hmm.
.net. And then my t-shirts I do for like local businesses, teams, things like that, sporting events is KP Graphics Inc. INK, not INC. And then my women's fitness line is Superior Apparel. So it's super with an I at the end.
Okay.
Apparel. And I'm doing that. What I'm going to do with that though is I've been kind of putting it on hold. Sales are going pretty decently, but I was actually going to come out next year. Now that I work with so many athletes, I was going to put together a package for a lot of my clients and kind of do a kind of a guerrilla marketing where I have them all on my new line or my new spring line next year.
Mm-hmm.
Set out outfits and have them all kind of advertised for me all at the same time. I feel doing it like 20, 30 people at one time versus like do two here, that is not as effective.
Interesting. Okay, that's interesting, man. Not bad. Not bad at all.
I'm always doing something, man.
I see that. That's good. So have you always been like that? Like that's always been your mind frame, or?
Yeah, it's funny is my older brother's the same way. It's just I don't like to work for other people. So, I always like, doing my own thing. But, when you own your own business and you're doing your own thing, like, you have your ups and downs. So if you have different revenue streams coming in from different things, when one's doing badly, it really is offset by, other things like cheerleading. Well, I have two months a year where I get almost all my orders for cheerleading. I have October, which is coming up, which is going to be all my local US companies. And then I have December where I do a lot of uniforms for like Sweden, a lot of gyms out there. So that's when their season starts. So after that, it kind of dies, like uniforms just kind of die out until next year. So, that's a good splurge of money, but then what are you going to do the rest of the year? Twiddle your thumbs? Mm-hmm. Well, then, then I hit the big events for doing t-shirts. And then, so I have that coming in. And now with photography, I'm traveling around doing that. So that's been a good gap filler.
So when you're producing the cheerleading things, you're outsourcing everything. So you're just pretty much taking the designs. Yeah. You pretty much just taking the designs, map all the designs and everything out, and then you're just outsourcing and just receiving orders. So you're pretty much the middleman. You're the plug.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I talk with the client. We figure out, they send me pictures of designs they like. I'll go ahead and I'll create a digital mock-up in AI. We'll make changes, where we want to do that. And then I go to I send it to my factory and go, hey, here's what it is. We're using this fabric here, here, and here. This is the kind of stitching I need here, here, and here. This is the stone patterns I want for here and here. I want this embroidered. I want this sublimated. I want this. Here's your color codes. And here's your sizes. Go. And in 5 weeks, I have uniforms.
Smart. That's pretty dope.
So it's gotten pretty easy because, the thing that people understand, like outsourcing overseas is easy. It's just, can you be specific in every detail of what you want? Because if you aren't specific, they will cut corners every chance they get. And it's not common sense. You're like, why would you do that? That doesn't even make sense. Like, well, you didn't tell us not to.
You didn't tell us not to, yeah.
You didn't tell us not to. Oh, you want it? Oh, was that wrong? You want us to remake it? Yeah, you're gonna have to rebuy that. And then and they make you repay for it. Even though it was stupid on their part to do it, they'll do whatever was cheapest and quickest for them.
They saving money. Yeah, they saving money.
Never told them not to do that.
Interesting.
You're right. You didn't. You just assumed that it would happen. So you cannot assume when you're outsourcing overseas. I tell them stitch patterns. I tell them sizing patterns. I tell them color codes. Like everything has to be specific, or they will mess up. Now you get that. A lot of those factories are awesome. Like they make some bomb stuff, but you have to define what you want.
Now let me ask you: do you receive samples first, or do you just automatically just going in on a big ass order? So you're just sending them the prints and hoping that Like, how does
So
that work?
now with the factories that I use now, I just send in stuff. When I first started, it was always a sample, always a sample, always a sample. But now that we've got such a good repertoire, like they know what I like and they know what I want. You know, I've been ordering them for now, I think 5-6 years. They get, you know, most of, you know, I always have the same stitching pattern. I always have the same sizing pattern. I always have this. The things that I used to have to specifically tell them, they already assume now because it's just been the same. You know, I don't change that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Before, if it's a new factory, absolutely. So I sample everything. I get a sample of the actual design, and then if I like it, I decide I'm gonna move forward with them. I get a sizing run. So I'll say everything from your U small all the way to a triple X, same design in this look that I'm doing, and then send that to me. And if that looks good, okay, now I'll go ahead and order. But I won't order anything new from a new factory without going through steps, because that's how you blow money real fast.
Dope. All right, cool. So what's next? What do you see Paraday photo this year, this time next year? Excuse me.
You know, I just you know, in all honesty, it's more bookings, really. I mean, I got a studio now. I just opened up last at the beginning of the month. So it's gonna be a month now in September. You know, I want to do some more stuff like that. I've been building some new sets, so I have some more, you know, some more easy go-to looks, which has been nice. But you know, really just being able to, I want to do more group trips. You know, I did San Diego with y'all, and then I went to Maui and a couple other ones. Lately, because I've been trying to book out and obviously make money, I've been doing like solo trips. Areas that I know I have my own bookings, but I do want to do. I know me and Mara talked about doing a tag team trip, doing something like Lake Tahoe or like the Salt Flats in Utah, just something like that, you know, and because I want to do those, because those are, to me, those are so much fun.
Yeah. Those you
get like, you get like three, you know, me, him, and like 3 other photographers, and you get like, you know, 6 to 8 models. You go and spend the weekend, you go different locations, and you just hit up things. Like, to me, that's a good time. Like, especially if you get the right, you know, with the right people,
right group of people, create the right content,
fun, creative, and you know, you're not having to watch the clock because you're worried about, oh, you know, I got another booking, whatever. It's like, no, you 8 are my people this weekend. I just got to make sure that all 8 of you, we're going to shoot a lot, and when they're with you all weekend, it's not a problem. You know, you don't like, is this girl going to be late? And she'd be like, oh, you know, I got off at work late, or I did this late.
That's the worst. How often do you get well, I know about your recent ghosting situation out in on your last trip, which is fucked up.
Yeah, I'm still salty about that one.
But how often does shit like that happen to you?
It's usually not, it's not bad because you get prepaid. So ain't nobody going to prepay. And I think Brett said that before, is just anybody who you know, unless they have a really good reason, if it's, you know, and I don't do very many trades now, but if somebody cancels on me on a trade that's not anything, or any, you know, wasn't that big of an important, especially they do it last minute, you're just off my list. You know, like, I got plenty of people that wanted to do it. Like, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But guess what? That was your opportunity. You missed it. I'll put on the next, and I wish you the best.
Yeah.
You know, and again in the future, you know, here's
next time you paying full. You paying full. Yeah, for sure. So how often does that happen? Is that something that happens often, or it's happening to me?
You know, it happens for the trade one. Like, it does happen a lot at shows. Is a big issue, because mentality of athletes after a show can be really hit or miss. If they didn't do as good as they thought they did or were going to do, you know, she doesn't make full first call outs, but she thought she was gonna be top 3. You know, they get in that thing. And again, if you're not paying, you know, and their mentality is there's no loss on it.
Yeah.
So that's why I really try not to do any trades. I only do trades if it's going to be a new look that I'm trying to hit, or you know, I happen to have an open spot, and because I don't like to waste time either. like, especially if, if I go like LA, the reason why I had that trade in LA was I had one open spot out of 3, on the one day. And it's like, I'm already out in LA, and if I am not going to fill this with money, the least I can do is fill it with content.
Yeah.
With somebody who has a really good look and fits my brand. And the thing is too, I've had a lot of trades where, especially when I was getting started, I do some trades, but the people I did trade with have already booked real, actual shoots after that trade. So not only did I have content to help build my name up, but they had so much fun and they like their stuff so much, they don't even consider using somebody else after that point. They're just like, no, like, you're my guy. Like,
you
who I shoot with. I had girls that I shot back in, March, April when I first started, and now they're finally coming up to competitions. They're like, no, we're doing my peak week shoot. Like, I'm doing a peak week shoot with you. Like, and they're all about it. And so, I mean, it comes for, it comes for fruition. Like I said, as long as they're fun. But again, I won't trade with somebody. I feel if I get even an inkling of a bad attitude.
Yeah. So let me ask you, coming from the background that you come from with the the coaching and you starting the businesses, the bars and stuff like that, how did you merge yourself into the fitness community, and what did you know about the fitness community before actually even getting into fitness photography? Like, I hear you saying like peak week and knowing about like how people act after shows and people's minds after shows and stuff like that. Just because I know for me that was a culture shock. I like to go to the gym. I've always gone to the gym, worked out, participate in sports and shit like that. But I think coming into the fitness world and just understanding that culture, or still coming to grasp with that culture and everything that it entails, was a culture shock for me. Definitely.
No, I agree. So the funny thing is like, I was always an athlete. I was a football player, cheerleader. So I've always been into working out, things like that. I had things like that. One of the girls, or 2 of the girls actually, who shot with me for my Superior brand were competitors, and they introduced me to their coach. And that's when I started really learning about Stacy. It's her name, Stacy Boyer. She owns Team Motivated You. She's been around for a while. She's actually I know she wrote at least 1 book. She might have multiple books. But she was kind of my go-to. I asked a lot of questions. And then there was this one girl that I shot with Superior, was actually a former cheerleader that I know her, and I'm actually friends with her and her boyfriend now. But I went to go see their show, which was up in Wisconsin, which again, right when I was just getting started out. So I shot with them, during peak week, and they're like, "Oh yeah, because we're competing this weekend." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like I want to come watch." So I came and watched and just sat down, and I was able to cheer on some of the girls that I've worked with. Her and another girl that I actually used to coach for cheerleading was actually competing that day. And I just happened to sit down by myself, and like this team from Minnesota was sitting next to me. The girl name I remember her name was Elizabeth. But she was my school teacher for the day. Like we were just, BSing.
She was just schooling you. Yeah.
And then I was like, and we're going through the divisions, and okay, so what's this division about? And she's like, okay, well, this is wellness. And with wellness, we're looking for smaller tops, the bigger legs, but we want more rounded, not shredded. And so we were kind of going through all the stuff over the course of the day. I'm like, okay. And I'd be like, oh, so like right when they first lined out for first calls, I was like, ooh, the third one's got a better back than the second one. And she's like, yeah, she does. She's like, they'll move her. And then eventually they'll be like, okay, you go switch and switch. I'm like,
you're like, you got it. So you're getting it.
I know what we're looking for here.
Yeah.
So that was like basically my learning day. I was asking her questions, and she was really super nice and said she answered everything, but that really got me down with a lot of the understanding of how the divisions work, how the competitions are run, things like that. And the funny thing about it is that there is a lot of similarities to the fitness and cheerleading. And that's because both are judged by random people in the front. So there's a lot of objectivity. And because of that, I feel, again, from my coaching side, that's why I think I mesh well with athletes, is because a lot of them, they just need to be here from time to time the right way, which is, you got to understand, when you have a sport that's judged by people, you need to understand that the best person doesn't always win. So you might got second, and you absolutely had the better physique, or you had a better this, blah, blah, blah. but for some reason, that one judge that happened to be out there that picked just didn't like you or didn't feel something about it, blah, blah, blah. Maybe your skin tone, this and that, maybe the way you pose, maybe the way your look on your face, something they didn't like. And it doesn't mean you weren't better than that person. It just meant, whatever. So you can't take that, to heart and be like, man, I lost. It's like, no, you didn't lose. But because of that, and when you're in a sport like that, the mentality needs to be, are you better today than you were yesterday? Do you feel the package you brought to this show was the best package you could possibly have at this time? If so, then that's a win. You can't hate your hopes and dreams on if you win or not.
Yeah, I agree.
Even when you do everything right, your coach gave you the right thing, you did the right meal plan, you did the right workouts, you did the right, the lean down, you can still lose, even though you were still the better person. So if everything is based on the I'm gonna win, and then you get screwed by a judge, that can mess up your head really, really bad.
Absolutely.
If you can focus on it, it's like, yes, I want to win, because obviously we're competitors, we want to win. But the end of the day, it needs to be, can I look at the mirror and say, I am the best where I should have been at this point? Then that's a win. So take that as whatever. And guess what? You'll have another competition to give it another try.
Yo, you are definitely a fucking coach. That was a whole coach speech right there. Like I don't even participate, but I was like, I'm inspired to just do some shit and be judged by it and say, fuck it, because I still won. That's I never even looked at it from that way of thinking about like how much when people that are in competitions that are being judged, what actually, takes place to actually come to a winner. Like it doesn't necessarily mean that winner is actually the best, but based off of the people that sat there and picked, never actually just grasped it from that, looked at it that way.
Well, from the cheerleading side, that's what it was a big thing for the kids and for parents, is that, we worked hard, we put these routines together, and then they get screwed in competition. When I first started, I have to win. But because of that, when we didn't win, I have athletes leave my gym or go to some big name gym or blah, 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 because in their heads, we had to win. And when we get screwed, it always costs me. So it costs kids, it costs me money because I'm losing kids out of my program because I got screwed. Not because I didn't do my job, it's because I had a bad set of judges that week who decided that, this gym was better in that time. But when I switched it up and I obviously growing and learning, maturing wise, that we made it about, was this the best routine to date? And how do we look? And, is your kid, what were your kids' skills at the beginning of the year? And what are your kids' skills at the end of the year? Was I do my job, and was your money well spent? Absolutely. Yes. My kid couldn't do a cartwheel, and now she's tumbling all over the place. She's happy. She's having fun with her friends. Yes, this place is worth every dime I've invested in it, and I'm going to continue investing in it. If it's all based on winning, well, then when you get screwed, it's not because you did something wrong, but you ingrained that into their heads they had to win. You ingrained that it was all about the win. So now when you didn't win because of one bad judge, your business takes a hit, and it wasn't even your fault. And and so from a business side that hurts, but from a competitor side, when it comes to fitness, same concept. If they get screwed and it's all about winning, they'll leave the sport altogether. They get depressed and it screws up their mentality, because body dysmorphia is a big problem to begin with in the industry.
Absolutely.
So when you're messing with somebody's a mental state like that, who's already they're already deprived on their carbs or the water and all that stuff. They're not functioning correctly to begin with. Then you want to throw on a bad loss where they thought they had it and then they got screwed over. It just they go, because they're mad, now they go binging that night. And now in the morning they feel bloated and they look in the mirror and they don't see their six pack perfectly. Well, now oh my God, now I'm fat. And then that snowballs and snowballs and snowballs into this thing where it's like, man, I lost, but man, I look good.
Yeah. And
I can be cool with that. And then I'm gonna go do my reverse diet. And you know what? I'm gonna bulk up because I'm gonna come back with more size next year and I'm gonna kill it. And that's a whole those two different lines is a drastic difference. Could be the same person, but this going this way can be positive and better themselves and be happy, where this way can put them in a world of hurt
Absolutely. I've seen them
It
both.
really messed them up going forward.
I've seen them both. I've seen them both. And the constitute to what you were saying earlier, with someone that their mentality shifts after their show. I've had someone that we were supposed to set up to shoot after their show, and I guess their show didn't go as well as they wanted to. And then after that, it was like, oh well, I ate after the show and I'm fat now and I don't have my cuts and I'm this and that. And I'm like looking at the pictures they posted on the ground. I'm like, you look fantastic. Like, let's go. But then it's like, well, how much do you continue to keep pushing? Because I don't know what else is going on in this person's head. I don't know what's going on with them. And they're shaming themselves, saying that they feel a certain way. So as the photographer, it's just like, all right, well, when you're ready, I'm here. We'll talk.
Well, and I actually had one of those recently. Same thing, she's like, oh, I want to do like a week after my show, the weekend, whatever. She didn't do it well, and then she's like, oh, well, this happened, and then I splurged a little bit too much this week, so give me like 2 more weeks to get back to where I need to be, and then it kind of goes on and on and on, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like
I got like a 2 weeks of going back and forth, and then after a while, I'm like, yeah. Like you're chasing them.
Yeah, well, I mean, and you can't, so it is what it is. But I mean, that's why I've been pushing these off-season shoots, man. They've been really great. If you see on my page, if you go to the captions when I talk about off-season, most likely it's with somebody I shot off-season. Mm-hmm. And all of them, they loved it. Like the one girl, Leslie, I actually posted her picture yesterday, but her original was like, I don't know, like maybe
that's the one in the gym. That's the picture on the bench.
The blue.
On it.
Yeah, her.
Yeah,
so I shot that like a month and a half ago with her, and her original one. Same thing. Like she didn't want to shoot because she was off season. Now she's awesome. She got her pro card, her second competition ever. So like,
oh shit,
bam. Like she came in, did damage right away, and for her it was even a bigger reality check when she had to reverse out of that, because she saw how much progress she got in those in those months and things like that, and she was cut. Like obviously she got a pro card, she was looking good. And when she reversed it, and and some of those shreds go away, and some of those muscles fill in a little bit, it messed with her head. And she's like, I'm not feeling a shoot, and I'm like, no, you want to shoot.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you want to shoot. And I finally talked her into it. Her coach talked her into it. And the next day, after she saw the shots and stuff like that, she's like, oh my God, I look great. And then I'm like, yeah, it's what I've been trying to tell you for the last whatever, like. Yeah. And we talked about it again, talked about it on post, which was these competitors need to understand, like, peak is temporary. You are only in your peak before a competition. And that is what, 3-4 times a year at best. So let's say 4 weeks of the year, you're at your peak. That means you're 11 months, not peak. You're 11 months of normal. If you cannot be happy with what your normal looks like,
yeah,
that's be depressed for 11 months out of the year.
Yeah.
We're depressed, your mind chemicals, it's like just like building a muscle. If you let them sit at that level for a long enough time, that becomes your normal. So if you are depressed and you are not feeling good about yourself for a very long time, it's going to be normal.
It's your new habit.
It's going to be harder to get out of it.
Absolutely.
How your brain chemical works at that point.
Absolutely.
Doing stuff like that, the off-season shoot, like she was like, oh my God, she's like, I feel energized. She's like, I can't wait to go back to the gym today. She's like, it was an absolute turnaround in her work. Like she's like, I self-admittedly was slacking a little bit. I wasn't trying my hardest, and I wasn't because I wasn't feeling good. But she's like, this, like, absolutely, I'm ready to go. Can't wait to compete next season. I'm gonna bulk up, and it's been a huge game changer for her. I've done that for a couple people, and the off-season shoots, obviously, yes, I make money off of it too. It gives me 2 shoots versus 1 a year. But from a mentality standpoint, for athletes, it's huge.
Well, it's good. It kind of reverts back to your coaching wisdom that you were doing with your students, and gives them encouragement, still provides value to them, opposed to just being, during when they're performing in the show or when they're getting ready to compete. There's other times you still look great. You may not look like you're in stage show shape, but you still look great. You know what I mean? You're still training. You're still taking care of your body. You still look great. You can still show that off. Your off season looks better than a lot of people's regular life. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's exactly what I tell them. I'm like, your normal is still above average.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, and that's what it's huge for. So it's big for them to understand that, because you can tell somebody that look good all the time. everybody's been telling him. It's the same way I used to coach, which is I was known to be a mean coach because I didn't say good job.
I can't see that.
I'm not a big good job type of person.
Okay.
Because me, if I say that too much, it loses credibility. It doesn't mean anything to you.
Yeah, got you.
For my athletes, if I say good job, they knew I meant it. Like they're like, oh my God, Matt really liked it. Like that was I must have really impressed him. And the same thing goes with this. People tell these people they look good all the time. Oh, you look great, you look great, you look great. But for photography, for us to be like, here, look, take a look. This is what you look like. They're like, oh, damn, I do look like. Show them they look good versus telling them like everybody that's been telling them that for whatever. Because let's be honest, again, their normal's above everybody else's average anyways. So yes, to the normal person, you look great.
You look amazing, yeah.
But they don't take that compliment like that because you're like, yeah, I know I look good, but I don't look as good as I want to look. To show them that picture, boom, they're like, oh my God, I do look good.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man, we winding down over here. I could talk to you forever and shit. So real quick, man, what you listening to music-wise? Do you listen to music when you edit? What is your editing routine? You know what I want to ask you too? I got another question to you. Answer this one, then I got something else I want to ask. All right. But what's your editing routine? Like, do you listen to music when you edit, or you watching a movie on another screen?
Normally I actually just turn on background music, not background music, TV. Okay. What I'll end up doing is I'll turn on because I have a TV that's right above where my computer is.
Okay.
It's honestly, I always put on shows that I've seen a million times. So I don't have to watch it, but it's there. So, I can turn on like The Office, Parks and Rec, That 70s Show, movies like Boondock Saints, Big Daddy, things like that. Like I've seen it so many times. It's just like, oh yeah, like
you can just hear it. It's like listening to an audio book and shit. You already know what the scenes and shit and everything. Yeah, got you. All right. What about music wise?
Music, I listen to everything, man. It really just kind of depends on the mood. Like if I'm out taking my bike out, I go with AC/DC rock and things like that. If I'm at the gym, usually either EDM or another more of a little lighter rock, kind of like Breaking Benjamin. I like their Pandora station. So it's a little bit more like Bush, like old school Bush, like 90s Bush, things like that.
Okay.
More rockerish, grunge, or the EDM. In the car, I'll do country and things like that. Like I love Nashville. I think Nashville is one of the coolest places, man. Like I like country music where it is now, which is funny because when I was like 12, I would have told you like country music, get the hell out of here. That's gross. And then, I have my throwback R&B 90s station. Can't listen to that when you're working out, but like I just did a boudoir shoot the other week. And that's what we were rocking out of Pandora R&B. So like, Keith Sweat, LSG.
Yeah, get the mood right.
Boys and Men, Shy, Silk.
Yeah.
Those are my jams. That's what I grew up on. I grew up on R&B. So that's always my go-to. Like there's not a Dre song you can throw on. I don't know all the words to. And the same thing goes with like Keith Sweat and all that stuff. Like I know every word to every one of their songs.
Yeah. That's our era. That's the time we grew up.
There's the jams.
So you did a boudoir. That was your first boudoir?
No. It was actually the first at my new studio.
Okay.
But I've been doing a couple. I'm doing a little bit more and more now.
Are you advertising for those? Or are you just coming across them? You're just coming across them.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time it's random. Like most of these athletes I'll have, and they're like, hey, what things are you looking for? And they're like, oh, well, I have this like lingerie outfit. I'm like, done. Or they're like, oh, I have this bikini I want. Okay, done. Like it really, to me, it's the same thing. It's just a little bit different vibe.
Okay.
Posing similar. To me, it's all about expression. When it comes to boudoir, I just had this talk with a girl last night. She wants to do one. And I was like, the whole thing, it has to be a vibe. So, music, like if they don't feel sexy, you're going to see it in their face. And that comes with being comfortable in the situation, which is a big thing on photographers. And it's super important for us to be able to make them feel comfortable because they are a little bit more exposed. And that's why I like to joke. And I always for boudoir ones, I always like to do like a call to somebody new. I'll do like a 20-minute, half-hour call with them the week of.
So to get familiar with you. Yeah.
My background and know. I feel it does help when they find out I was a cheerleading coach and things like that. I always get bonus points for that. We're like, oh, okay, like he dealt with girls, he understands, and I know how to act appropriately around girls and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think that really helps.
I think that's the key. I think it's always just once they get past that whole, oh, he's not a creep or he's not, then it kind of, you could just kind of see the layers coming off of relaxation come over their body. It's just like, all right, a little bit more relax.
There's a lot of shitty photographers out there, man. A lot of creeps.
I tell people that a lot of times. A lot of guys, oh man, I don't know how you do that. I'd be like, listen, man, your reputation is everything in this business. I was like, it only takes one person to just feel a certain way about you and just do a smear campaign and just ruin you. I said it shows. I said when a model gets comfortable with me and they're willing to show a little bit more skin or be a little bit more free, to me that's just like a huge accomplishment. I'm proud. I'm like honored. I'm like, oh, you trust me. You want to work with me. And then that's the only way you're going to really create good work is when they reach that comfort level with you, because then it's like, now let's just work. Now we can just work. You know what I mean? And you could just see it get more comfortable. Then they're there, and it's like, let's go.
I had a boudoir one of my first ones actually, and she had her outfit on. And I was like, oh, hey, go change. And she picked her outfit. She went to the bathroom. She came out with a robe on, and she was like, oh, like whatever. I set up the lights. I'm like, okay, here we're gonna sit right here. We're gonna do the shot like this. This is what the pose is gonna be. And she's like, okay, pull the robe off, and we get there. And she was still a little, working on getting it comfortable. Took some shots. Showed her the picture. She's like, oh my God, I love these, my favorite pictures of all time. And this is like the first 3 shots.
Yeah.
And like fast forward, like 15 minutes later, I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and change outfits. Go ahead and go put that white one on. And she's like, okay. And she just started changing right there.
Right there. Yeah.
Like, well, I guess she feels comfortable now.
Yeah. Cool. But that's like a sign of, and as a photographer, you're like looking down at your camera, but you kind of just know everything else, what's going on in the room. And in your mind, you're like, all right, now we're comfortable.
Yeah, now she's in a spot. Now she's in a spot where it gets a good shot.
Yeah.
And we did. I actually have them on my page. They turned out phenomenal. And I've actually shot with her multiple times since then. But that comfortable factor is huge. And you can tell in their faces, like the way they're relaxed, their tension, their shoulders, all of that.
And they start to be a little bit more outgoing with their poses and stuff like that. They're starting to offer up. Oh, what if I do this? Or I want to do this. Or I always like to show off this part of my body. This is my favorite. And then you're like, all right, now we're working. You know what I mean?
Their back arc goes a little bit 2 more inches extra.
Yeah. It's like it's not looking as painful as it did before. Like, you know what you're doing. Come on, arch that back. Let's go. Let's get these shots, man. Dope, man. So real quick before we get off the line, anything you want to promote? Anything you want to let people know about you? Thanks definitely for doing this again, man. I'm trying to.
No, man. Hey, like I said, I bullshit with you all the time. So you want to hit me back up again? I'm sure.
Yeah. Make this a weekly segment. I'm gonna have you teaching me more about business and shit. I'm gonna have me I'm gonna be sending some stuff for cross-seas. I'm gonna make tutus or something.
It's all about loopholes, man.
Ballerinas.
And for what I always tell people when I started a business is just find something, find a market that in whatever genre it may be, and then look around to see what are the biggest expenses, and is there any way for you to cut those expenses? Mm-hmm. So if I worked at a bar, is there any way I can get glasses for cheaper, or what are we buying regularly that we need more of? Is napkins a cost, or is it glassware? Is it this? Is it that? What do they have to constantly buy, and can I get that same item for cheaper and quicker? And if I can do that, there you go.
Yeah, the money makes sense, man.
So,
makes sense.
Promoting myself, like obviously Paraday Photo. You need some photos? Let me know. If you need some, clothing, hats, embroidery, KP Graphics Inc. So KP Graphics and Inc.com. And I really doubt anybody's gonna be buying any cheerleading uniforms off your.
You never know, man. I have daughters. As you do too, so you already know the game.
I got you.
Yeah, yep, me too. So you already know. One more thing. Damn, just left my mind that quick. I was gonna ask you. You said something. Oh, do you do TikTok or are you just on Instagram?
So I started a TikTok. I have yet to post on it, but I know I need to. I'm gonna start going through my reels on my Instagram, and I'm gonna start knocking them out just to get content on there.
Yeah. I'm the same way as you. I do have a post. I'm ahead of you because I have like 2 posts. I have like 2 posts on there. And
No, I gotta get on that. I hear
I hear it's taking
way
over.
better.
I hear it's about to, it's the new thing. It's beyond the new thing. It's already been the new thing. I hear it's just, you know, it's ascending. It keeps ascending as a platform.
Well, we'll have a race next time. We'll talk about it. See who's far along next time we talk.
I think Ty. I mean, you're staying with Ty. I think Ty is pretty big on TikTok. So
that's because he has awesome hair.
You know my shit is already. You know what I'm working with. I'm back here. I got a whole different.
Hey, this used to be here when I was younger. Okay, like that's
shit. Me too, brother. I know. That's where it starts, man. It starts looking like the bat signal and shit. When as you put your head down, it gets worse and worse. It's over. It's game over, man.
Starts creeping back.
Yeah. It's back, man. It's bad. But all right, brother, man. Thank you, man. I'll catch you next week. I'm sure I'll bump into you one of those days out there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In between your grind. All right, but yo, thanks again for doing this, man. We'll be in touch. Paraday photo. Peace, brother.
Hey, you said my name right.
I'm getting it. It only took me to send you 2 emails that you didn't get.
All right. I'll talk to you, brother.
All right, bro. Peace. What's going on? I just wrapped up my interview with Mathew Paraday from Paraday Photos based out of Chicago. It is now up on my YouTube page. Check it out. Hit that thumbs up button. If you like the content, please consider subscribing. Hit that bell notification so you can always be in tune every time I upload a video, some content. Peace.